Hello and a good evening to everybody. This is BiCoTa, the Bitwig Community Talk, with the world best co-host I ever can imagine, Jürgen Moßgraber. Hello, Jürgen. How are you?
Hi, Odo. I'm great. Besides the heat, it's 35 degrees here and we're sweating like crazy.
So this is one of the hottest shows we had since a long time.
Yeah, and it seems we made the show. We are back again, and it seems, it's made it just in time for the release of Bitwig 6.1. So lots of things to talk about today.
Oh, yes, there is. And we have two wonderful guests because this show tonight is about controllers. And those guests built their own controllers. So let me welcome Gero and ensonic Stefan to our show. Hello, you two. Hello, Gero. Hello, Stefan.
Hello. Good evening.
Hi.
How are you there?
Yeah, it's hot here as well.
I still enjoy like 22 degrees in my basement, but yeah.
That's the advantage when you're a developer. You always have somewhere at basement where you can live on and where it's mostly nice and cool in summer.
Yeah, we're with only a group today, but where are you located in Germany?
So I'm in Langen near Frankfurt.
Ah, okay.
I'm originally from Saxony, but I live in Munich, job-wise.
So we are spread all over Germany. I'm from Berlin, and Jürgen is close to Karlsruhe, right?
Exactly.
Good coverage.
Yeah. We have the whole span across Germany. So, like I said, we want to talk about today about your controllers. You two, you started to build your own controllers, but before we start about the controllers, let us know a little bit about you, who you are. What is your relation to music? Why you maybe like Bitwig or maybe another DAW? I don't think you do, but maybe there is. So maybe Gero, you want to start to tell something about you, where you come from, like musically. What is your musical interest? What did you do? And maybe give us a little hint why there was the idea of your own controller.
Yeah, sure. So music has been a big thing my whole life for me. I don't remember when I started making music because it was always around me as a kid. And of course, I also used computers when I was younger and got into music and computers together very early on. I think my first DAW was Sound Monitor on C64, which incidentally might have been the first DAW ever. I think at least it was the first tracker. But yeah, so there's no clear timeline. It just happened all along. I sometime in my 20s, I think, I started playing guitar. It must have been earlier, and started playing in bands as well. And the whole computer thing was still in a subject in my life. So I started recording these bands, and then I got into more modern DAWs. I did use Logic for the longest time, but Bitwig was always, I was a nerd. Who thought? Who knew? And I was big into Linux for a while. And since Bitwig first announced its existence before it actually was released, they already announced the Linux compatibility. And because of that, it was on my radar back then already. But I then switched to a Mac and used Logic for a long time before I really got into using Bitwig. And I think I needed two goes at it to have it click with me. And it wasn't because of something that Bitwig did, but because I was so used to Logic, and it's hard to change your regular ways. But at some point, Logic got so broken actually on the newer computers that I finally took the plunge and said I have to go all in on Bitwig now. And that was with, I think, Bitwig 3 still shortly before the 4.0 release. And yeah, being a nerd, being interested in Linux, of course, but also this whole modular synthesizer and things modulating other things is what made me do the switch to Bitwig, because it felt like, especially with electronic music, there's a different need for features compared to just recording acoustic instruments. And with my band background, Logic was the right choice for a long time to just record multiple tracks. But when I started doing more solo electronic stuff, I missed things that I thought should be possible in a computer, and just with Logic really weren't. It was possible, but it was kind of a pain to get there. And with Bitwig, it was all very, very natural.
So you switch a little bit from like playing in a band, so to more solo project and experimenting and doing some music like that?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Yeah, so I don't play in bands anymore. I think my last band project kind of thing was like in the 2020s, probably more in 2019.
Okay.
Since then, it's only been electronic, but I'm not doing a lot of music these days.
So just it's still there. The love is still there, but the time is sometimes a little bit a problem.
Yeah, maybe even the other way around. So it's always in phases. And now when I have the time, I feel more like tinkering around with things instead of making actual music. But it's a phase thing. I'm sure it will come back.
But making music doesn't mean that it end up into songs and tracks and albums or something. Making music is making music because it makes fun, and we have a lot of fun and freedom and relaxation with that. So can be a lot. It's just not only to be productive. Like everybody can see a lot of tracks from you on all the platforms everywhere. But you also have like a page where people, when they're interested in, when you sometimes release some music or your old music, you have a Bandcamp site also.
I do have a Bandcamp site, and I also have, this is like for the specific electronics projects that I do, but I do also have my personal website where I try to publish when I'm doing things. And if I do some like acoustic music again under a different name, that would probably also be published on my personal homepage.
Yeah. Oh, that's nice story. Thank you.
What kind of electronic music do you do?
So I think the stuff that I released, I would classify as tech house, maybe. But honestly, like doing the acoustic stuff as well, I'm not really married to a specific genre. I'm basically very, very open and very experimental.
What comes along?
Yeah.
And Stefan, nice. How does it behave on your side?
Yeah, I see some similar kind of like starting points. I'm born in East Germany, so I never got a C64. I only looked jealously at people that had one. But after the reunion, after the war came down, I was just 16, and I bought a Amiga. That was like no-brainer for me back then. Like I saw this at a trade show, and I saw PCs back in the days that were like monochrome screens and just beeps. So the Amiga was my entry point into music career. I did a lot of coding on the Amiga. Also, I like wrote some sample processing software, but also used trackers to make my own tracks. Some of them were used on disc magazines, which was quite a bit of fun. So not like newspapers, just like you buy a floppy disk in a paper cover, and that had some like articles and some background music and some 3D stars that flew in your face all the time, just because you could do that, things that you can't do with a printed newspaper. And I start like around 20-ish, I started to make some music with a friend, bought a keyboard, and I'm more like in the Gothic scene, electronic, but more on the electronic side. And so we made some kind of like dark wave music, and for a couple of years I pushed that to Bandcamp some time ago to just archive it. It was never a big thing, was like really just for the fun, and then I think music wise, I had also this kind of like on and off phases. when the Amiga kind of passed away, I had to look around for like what platform to use next. I used Windows PCs with Jescola Bus for some time. That was like a tracker hybrid thing, some freeware, and that was abandoned sometime. I switched to Linux also back in the days. I tried to reverse engineer this whole software, load those plugins. I'm a software engineer, so this is always like the risk that you think like, oh, I can fix this, and then you're just coding days and nights and not making music. And this bus clone is like open source software on Linux called Bus Tracks, but it's also kind of like dormant. I don't have the time anymore. And just before Corona, I came across Bitwig. I just didn't have this on my radar at all. So I tried different Linux software from time to time. I didn't want to go back to Windows, but like what was out there on Linux was often like, yeah, not really fit to just like, you always like make some music and then you find a bug and then you're like, oh, I should clone this now and send them a pull request. And I was doing software engineering for the whole like 8 hours a day, and I just didn't want to like write more software in the evening. So when I saw Bitwig, I downloaded the manual. I just read the whole manual from start to end, which probably nobody does. And it was like before Christmas. There was the Christmas sale, and I just like, okay, this is the software for me. I immediately bought it, like the studio version. When I saw all the modulators, this was like all what I had on my to-do list for my own music software. I said, yeah, you just need this. You don't want to like draw this into automation, just want to do these things. So I'm super happy Bitwig user since like version 3. And so I often tell people this was one of the best investments. I don't regret any euro that I sent them. Of course, we all have wish lists, but yeah, I'm super happy with that. And on Bitwig, I actually do a lot of music. So for me, this is like really a great way to detach from work. So when I come home after a work day and I want to not think about like what I have to do in the next day, I just fire up the DAW and make some funky music. It's the best thing you can do. And I have a Discord with some friends, so we collaborate on tracks and make some cover versions sometimes. We have like people that help you with getting the sound right. Some people, we have one guy who's like really great singer, so that opens doors to have like not just electronic music tracks, but also having not just instrumentals, but also have like tracks with a voice that doesn't come out of a voice synthesizer. I admit I made some tracks where I used eSpeak to create some vocal samples. So that's as geeky as you can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. So you both have like kind of let me say like a normal evolution of people I know around kind of that age. We are all like, there was a computer, there was the possibility, we just took it, and then we started out with on different path and we're coming back here after a while. It's not that far away from yours too, Jürgen, right? But you have a kind of a little different catch.
I had Atari ST, so the other side.
That was
computers. But my next question would have been: so making music is one thing, but building controllers takes some solid knowledge as a background. So what is your background there to get into computer science? You already heard, but also electronics. How do you learn all that?
Maybe I'll start, and it's a pretty easy answer. You just do it, and you don't know anything. And then you burn a couple of components, and after a while, it works out. No, seriously though, even with programming, I don't have education in that. I do have a design education, but my job is a software developer, and that's all self-taught. And I think that's just a way to approach things. And for me, the big thing was when Arduino started or got popular. I can't quite remember the date, but sometime in the mid-2000s, I think, when the whole electronics environment got somewhat accessible through for people like me with a software background, but no electronics background. and it just evolved from there for me. So yeah, it probably started building into. Actually, I think also my first real do-it-yourself electronics project already was a MIDI controller, but just a foot switch, and never really stopped tinkering, but also never really got proper education.
But did you learn that somehow from magazines, or was YouTube already a thing? Or how did you get the knowledge back then, when there was no AI?
I think YouTube was already a thing, and it was a big factor. Probably, I remember Make Magazine had a YouTube channel. They also had a print magazine as well, and there was Maker Faire events that also had some sort of print thing. I think it's hard to remember, but I definitely remember this Make Magazine YouTube channel that was, at least for my YouTube career, it was very early on.
Was YouTube really in the mid-2000s already there?
I think so.
2.5 maybe.
I really don't know. I don't, 2.5, yeah, okay.
For me, but I can like +1 to the whole like Arduino movement. Like I have the benefit that I'm a software engineer, so writing software is like not a new thing for me, and I have a lot of experience there. Like I started with like, I don't know, 12 on 8-bit computers to write software, and this was like on the digital side, this was for me always like the sky's the limit. And I love that like when somebody comes to say this is not possible, then it just means nobody has figured it out yet, but it's like almost always possible. And both my parents are electronic engineers, but I never tinkered like really that much with like electronics. So like I was, as a kid, I was doing model trains, and I just did all the modeling, and my dad was doing all the electronics. But with the Arduino, you got a wealth of information also. So I didn't resort it so much to YouTube, but they have so much stuff like online, all the breadboard examples where they tell you how to do like from the simple things like a switch and a LED and all that, and how you calculate resistors, and you find a lot of things. You have to read it. Sometimes it takes a while until you understand what's actually happening. What's a pull-up resistor? What's a pull-down resistor? Why do you need that stuff? And of course, like you just try it, and with the availability and with the prices going down, of course, sometimes you burn something, but that is also like it's you're gonna remember like, yeah, you can't do that. That just doesn't work. And yeah, it's a lot of like try and error and learning things. But I feel like it's super exciting also that nowadays you can just do that. Like you can buy all those things and build your own, like even MIDI controllers. That was like unthinkable, like in the 80s, 90s. That stuff was always expensive, and you dreamt of like features, and you knew that it's like you can't build it yourself. And yeah,
it's more affordable now. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I think we also talked about this privately, like being software developers and being used to creating digital things. It kind of, it's still fun, but unlocking this hardware world and using similar skills to do something that you can in the end touch, and it's not just lights on a screen, but instead lights on a physical device. That's exactly. a big fun thing as well. Like it kind of reinvigorates the whole fun part of the nerd.
It expands the virtual world into the physical world.
Yeah, exactly.
like in this movie Tron, the other way around. But you know, yeah, I thought that too. When everything comes more affordable, like these Arduinos are like, I don't know what the prices are now, like 5 to 10 euros something, or even less. You know, and I don't know if it's possible to burn an Arduino. I don't know. I don't think so. But it is really?
Yeah, I mean, just connect it to the main voltage, and then it's dead.
Okay.
But so you can still learn from your mistakes, and you're not bankrupt after burning one Arduino. So that's a big thing. Where I always was a little bit intrigued to do that also, but lack of time and everything and not having like 100 projects at the same time. It's always a little bit of problem. But yeah, I really love that when people doing that, and especially when people saying, I have an idea, and this is not available like this. I want to have like you both said at the end, and then start. Okay, maybe I can do something about it, and maybe I can build my own controller, and that's what you did at the end now. And you have your controller since a longer time now. It's not really fresh, so they're already known by a lot of people in the community too. So maybe
maybe both can hold up their controller so everybody knows what we are talking about and what cool stuff we are diving into.
Yeah, these are the controllers.
So that's 8 knobs with a ring LED, even very nice.
Yeah,
and the other one looks even much more sophisticated with
8 knobs
displays
and displays.
Yeah, great. So wow, so really some stuff which is up to the job, I guess.
Now we should start talking about their controller. I have no clue because I'm interested in both. I mean, I know a little bit about those controllers, to be honest, but maybe a lot of people who listening to this podcast or watching this podcast are not so familiar. So how we start, Jürgen? Who should we give? I don't know. Maybe both at the same time.
YouTube exists since 2005, by the way, so quite some time already. Just to throw that in. How should we dive in?
Stereo, one left, one right.
Yeah. Maybe start with what was the intention? So what main issue did you try to solve with your controller? Because they both look that they might have different ideas.
So maybe, Gero, you want to start?
I can start. I'll try not to ramble too much because I have so many thoughts, but I'll try to keep it to the bare minimum.
We'll stop you.
Right. So I think I have 2 main goals that I achieved with the Autopot. And the first one is that I learned about high resolution CCs, which is 14-bit CCs sending to 7-bit in close succession. And that was something that has bothered me for a long time. Like I felt like 128 values just wasn't enough for a lot of things. And then the other thing was this balance between potentiometers and knobs when you encoders when you have knobs to turn things, because potentiometers always used to have a starting point and an ending point, and then there was this whole parameter takeover thing when you changed something in the software and the analog potentiometer wasn't in the right place and you had to dial it until you hit that place, or there's a strong jump in the value, like this takeover mode. But on the other hand, there were encoders that were basically switches, like fancier switches where a full rotation would be like 32 different steps, and they use acceleration to kind of mimic if you turn something faster and try to make it feel like a potentiometer, but to me it never really did. It's fine for a menu if you want to like select a single option somewhere, then an encoder is nice. But I think using them for the actual controlling of musical parameters, it's a mistake in my opinion.
Yep.
And then at some point I experimented a long time, and experimenting is maybe too big of a word, but I thought about it, and I bought a cheap mouse and tried to use the sensor and some kind of paper with a pattern to indicate the rotation of something. And at some point I just found the perfect component for what I was trying to do, which is a analog potentiometer, but it's endless. So it's basically best of both worlds, encoders and potentiometers. And that's when
maybe to give a baseline to the people who have not so much ideas about controllers. So you first need to pick your elements, so your control elements. So what we have here in the box, we have, as you said, knobs, but there are different knobs. What else do we have? We have relative ones, normally with LED around them, or an absolute one. some also there who can be pressed as well, so can be used as a button. What else do we have? Normal buttons. Then we have faders and displays. Touch, touch sensitivity,
right.
something. Yeah, touch sensitivity for all of the above. And what did we miss?
I think there's a lot more. Yeah, there's ribbons and whatnot.
Ribbons, very good.
Accelerometers.
Yeah.
If you want to throw it around, it's very good.
And wheels, wheels, like mod wheels.
Wheels, yeah, like mod wheels as well,
yeah.
And also for the non-initiated, you can basically buy them and bring them together as you like, I guess.
And yes, you can. Yeah.
Yes, you can.
It's like in the grid. You can
to control that, you need a processor, and that's what we already heard is Arduino, right?
Yeah.
And the software to control all that.
And you both use Arduino?
So actually, it's kind of hard to define what Arduino really is now, because it started out as a brand of microcontrollers with the IDE. Then other microcontrollers started using the same IDE. Then it was kind of a software ecosystem. So I really like the name Arduino, but I can't really tell what it means anymore.
I don't get that. I thought there is one chip, or not one. It's not one chip. It's a microcomputer. It's a board with a microcomputer, or some different stuff on there. Like I don't know, Bluetooth. Some have Bluetooth, some Wi-Fi. No, not Arduino. I don't know.
Some do, yeah. Some original.
Can you show one? Do you have some?
So there are a lot of different Arduinos with different features, I guess.
1 second.
Okay.
Stefan always picking up one, I guess.
So now we get the whole set of Arduinos.
So I always thought that that's a company, so that's wrong, I guess.
It was a company, and they have been bought by Qualcomm just a while ago. Mm-hmm. I think they still have the name, but it's no longer the Arduino original company, and I'm not sure if it has been sold previously.
Okay, yeah, that's how it looks.
We see an Arduino now.
No, this is a Raspberry Pico 2. So I'm using a Raspberry Pico 2.
Oh, okay.
So this is like a €6 board. That is what I'm using in my controller. But you see the size. So this is my finger. So this is quite tiny.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
And what I'm showing is actually a Zijiao board. It's a little bit smaller. It's a little bit more expensive. It does have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And funnily, neither of the boards that we showed are actually Arduinos, and still people would call them Arduinos.
So it's just a generic term for kind of people who are not so deeply into all this microelectronics and microchips. They say just Arduino for everything that is around that size and possibilities.
I would say so. But there's also a bit more to it, because there's this IDE that Arduino also launched, and that has some sort of internal capabilities, and then other manufacturers start creating other microcontrollers, but they make it compatible to the IDE with the same capabilities. So it's also kind of a software ecosystem now.
So IDE, we maybe have to explain for people who are not programmers, is integrated desktop environment. No, not software development.
Yeah,
exactly. So it's just a set of sometimes some editors, some software that were integrated all the libraries to use when you want to load something or save something or send something or get something or let a light go on and off or something like that. So you just have to call a function out of a library instead of doing assembler, like moving bits and bytes.
Yeah.
Okay.
What is quite helpful, maybe, like these microcontrollers that are used on these boards, like a huge difference to the computers that we use these days is that they don't run an operating system. So there's no Linux, no Windows, no Mac OS on those microcontrollers. And this is what I enjoy about them, is like the whole software that you run on them. You could almost print it and read it. Like, don't do that. It would still be like quite a sizable stack of paper. But like, if there's a bug, you can actually find it, and you have all the software that goes on the board. You compile it each time and transfer it to the chip. So you can actually understand the whole system. it's still like complex. It's not that easy, but nowadays, if you program for modern computers, is so much extra complexity. And I do this like day in, day out. So I really enjoy working like really on this hardware level, where you can almost like watch how the computers work, and you can analyze it all, and you can probe and see, oh, now I'm sending this, and now on this pin it's reacting. Well, this is quite nice. And
so
just to also, yeah.
So you're connected directly on from software directly to the hardware without some layers of operating system, library, function stuff. Okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There are some libraries, but it's not too much. But they are very powerful. So if you look at this, like Raspberry Pico, it's like way more powerful than the Atari ST or the Amiga back in the days. So it's already like crazy that you now get this, like the processor on this Pico costs like $1, and it runs like 80 megahertz or something. And back in the days, the ST and the Amiga, they had a like 8 megahertz CPU.
Yeah.
So this is like, it's like amazing.
So that's also one message. So if you know how to do it, building your own controller is actually pretty cheap. Besides all the work you need to invest. But what is actually the cost? If you, for example, for your controller, Gero, what is it?
For me, cost is actually a bit of a problem, because if I do it with all the LED boards, I think I'm at 180 euros, which is quite a lot.
Okay.
But the microcontroller, I'm using a pretty expensive one, which is I think 35 euros. And the potentiometers are also pretty expensive at 5 euros. But right now, one of the items on my list is optimize this for cost, like not just for functionality, which is the main thing I was looking for when building it. But I think you could build the same thing in the end with different components for probably $30, maybe.
Really?
Yeah, like the range is huge. Like microcontroller could be easily 3 euros instead of 40, and the potentiometers I'm using are like $5. But there are, what I'm looking at right now, Hall effect rotational chips that cost something like maybe 80 cents a piece.
So you would make a lot of people's dream come true to make a wonderful controller that is even cheap.
Yeah, sadly, like if you make this commercially, it adds a lot of like, taxes and stuff. For me, like the bill of material, it's about 130. So interestingly, the 2 displays are cheaper than the 8 LED rings. Otherwise, the microcontroller is the same. Yeah, the displays are like $8 each. So it's 2 of them. So it's like $16 for the displays. And I have to say, like now I built this in quantities of 5, because the minimum order size for these PCBs, for these boards, is like 5 each when I make the custom electronics board. If I would get like 1,000 people wanting to buy it, you could make it really cheap. Yeah. There's a lot, like when you source order components, you get a huge like price reduction if you buy this in large quantities.
Yeah, I mean, Gero, you said it also, and this is the same topic too. So I mean, the first idea is to have something to make it work like you had it in your head, and maybe then the costs are like that, are they as they are, and when you're ready and you have your experience with that, and I can imagine that over time when you're both building your controllers, maybe some things changed, some ideas changed maybe as well, but when you have kind of a, let's say, not final product but the current state product that could be a final product, you start thinking how, like you said, or you both said, like optimizing it and maybe look for alternative ways to achieve kind of the same. So because even you build it for your own, and I think you both all the plans and everything are open source. Am I right?
Yeah.
So people can build them for themselves too. But because of your experience and you're looking for cheaper stuff, this would be great news for people who want to build this themselves and maybe don't have the experience, so they could burn some stuff, so it's not that expensive to do that. And this is a great news for, for people that are curious as well. And I really like that idea.
Yeah, that's something that's close to my heart, really, because I don't want to earn money with this, but I would love for people to be able to get their hands on it. And I can't sell it. I might be able to do something like package the components and sell it as a kit or something, but that's probably too much work to really make sense. And the whole selling an electronic product, it requires so much more knowledge and time and, certifications and warranties and all of that. I tried to look into it and I basically gave up. And yeah, what I'm hoping for is that there's a way that we can get people who aren't as experienced or willing to burn some components to give them a chance to get such controllers themselves, and also not just have the end products in their hands, but also get into the build it yourself thing. Like I think it's incredibly rewarding to have this like IKEA effect, to have at least part of the manufacturing done by yourself. And also I like getting into the weeds with stuff and just learning how it works, even if you're basically just wanting the end product. Along the way, you also mess with the internals a bit, and then you feel like you know how it works. If something breaks, you can repair it probably. You know how replacement parts would look like, and if it's possible to buy them. And yeah, the whole learning experience is something that I enjoy a lot, and I would like other people to have as well.
Maybe you both could couple up in a way that, like showing how to do that, kind of a public workshop or something, like a live stream, or also maybe in the future. I don't know how much work that is, to be honest. But when I started or tried soldering, and I just soldered some cables. They looked terrible, like hell, because I didn't know how to solder, until somebody told me, okay, don't do it like this and like that, and say, okay, that does make more sense, For people who just starting over, I don't know if that's a good idea to make like a public workshop on a live stream or something where, you have like 3 to 5 people and they ask you, and you just leave that online so people can just follow what you did with people they don't have experience or so. Maybe that's an idea. I don't know.
It's actually a great idea. I've never thought about it. I thought about in-person workshops, but I never thought about doing it online. Yeah. That might work.
Because then people can just rewind and look, what's that? What he's explaining? So because a lot of times people watch such workshops, and because if you two would that do together, and there are like 2 to maybe 3, 4 people, not too many, they ask you while doing that, and it's a bit complicated to make that on a set with a lot of people, but maybe this is something that would work. I don't know, but that maybe would fit your idea. Sorry, Stefan.
I thought I like the workshops at Superbooth where you build your own like modular, and I thought about like this kind of a format, because if you prepare all the parts, it's about like 15 assembly steps. And I think for people, the most challenging, on my controller, the most challenging part is going to be soldering the pots. Everything else is already soldered, and everything else is mostly kind of like putting stuff together in the right order, some screws, jumper cables, and that's it. So it's like not really difficult, and maybe it's a good way that the potentiometers are fairly easy to solder. They're quite big, so and they're also not kind of like that's like kind of like easily to break. Like if you solder a bit too long, I don't think they would survive. So that could be actually a nice thing. So far, I thought a lot about the production process. So if I would want to mass produce it, what would I need to optimize to make it like less assembly steps? And I found that like interesting for my learning experience, because when you build such a thing, you appreciate a lot what thoughts went into a product that you're using. Like we use products every day, and we're grumpy when it's badly designed, but the things that are well designed, you don't know how many cycles people spent on that and how many prototypes are in some shelf that like ideas that didn't really work. And when you build this, you think about this, I have to put in 16 screws here. This is not like the money for the screws, they are cheap, but the process that you have to place them and screw them. And so can I maybe do some snap-in design? Can I make this like easier to assemble? And you think about all these things. How would I make this like not necessarily cheaper, but also like, if I would put a Kickstarter and then people say I get 1,000 people that want it, I would die if I have to make like 1,000 of those. Like this is like 8,000 potentiometers to solder. This is like, I mean, afterwards I will be perfect with my soldering techniques. Like, but you really think about like what would it take to streamline this more and make it like, yeah, more mass producible. And yeah, but I think for a workshop it's actually nice because the steps, like if people just want to build it, it's not too complicated. And they would go home with something that they can brag and say that I'm proud, I built this, I treat it very carefully because I've seen the massive cables in there. So yeah, or
maybe when you're doing such in-person workshops, maybe there's someone who want to film that, all the process, and then create kind of a tutorial or whatever. And if there's some steps you can you could just do some, how you solder, what it's catch when you're soldering, which part you make hot and which not, and all that stuff. Because that was my big problem. I didn't know, nobody told me, and there was no internet that days when I started that, so I had no ideas. Just had like this hot thingy and the plum, and that was it. So yeah, but the idea is nice to tell people and to try to optimize. And yeah, I can imagine that all the ideas and the thoughts going into mass production, that could really give you a big headache then.
But maybe before we dive too much into soldering, maybe let's talk a bit. What can you actually do with your controllers? So, what's the idea behind that?
Maybe I can start a little bit. What was it for me when I started to think about this? Like I felt like when I used Bitwig, you have these control pages and you have always 8 knobs there that are mapped to like important functionality of a patch. And I feel like almost everyone would sooner or later want that as a physical instance on that desk next to their controller keyboard, to be able to quickly access those like 8 functions to avoid this like back and forth with the mouse. And in March 24, I started a Google Doc and wrote down, like, did a sketch how this would look like, 8 knobs, some LEDs, and put down some ideas and started to think a bit about how I could possibly build this. And I first actually also started to think about using encoders and not potentiometers, because I hated this takeover problem. And I bought some encoders and put them on a breadboard. Like, this is the white thing where you just stick the things and you don't need to solder and you just use patch cables.
Okay.
And so that's very nice for prototyping, experimentation. It's like the grid in physical. So you just plug cables from the pins and with the encoders, I actually hated, like what Gero said, I hated that it's only like 30 steps. And it's great for selecting your waveform, but it's not good for dialing in a cutoff on a filter. And then I was researching and I came across Gero's Autopot, and that's when we, like in March 25, when we talked over Discord. And Gero told me, hey, there's these great dual Viber potentiometers that are the endless pots. And I immediately said that, okay, this is what I want. And I ordered them from AliExpress. I use the ones with a clicky. Also, you can click them, because I thought that, well, if you can click them, I can have a second function there. And that's how I started building this. And I think this whole like endless potentiometer thing is where we collaborated a lot. Like, these things are not that easy to actually program and read out. It's a lot of like noise that you also receive. And I found that collaboration super fruitful. So this was like really a good back and forth. Oh, I tried this, works a bit better, and then I like, hey, I tried this, and that's even better. And then we had a source example that didn't have any license attributed, so it's like questionable if you can actually use it in your code. And then I found a better way how to, or like an alternative way how to read them out and process them, completely different code. So we shared that for the two projects. And that was like, I really like that, not having, like, you have the idea, but then you have someone who's also like mentally on that same problem, and you can exchange ideas. And we had different approaches for some of the user experience, but like the 8 knobs is what we have in common. So that was like really great to get that working finally.
So the focus is on parameters for devices then, or can you also switch then to mixing? So the usual things.
You could. I never implemented a mixing mode, so I used this really a lot, like just for the devices. I tried to use it for navigation, so that's what I use the second kind of layer. You can click the button, and then you can navigate between the control pages. You can navigate between the devices and the tracks. But I have to say that the Bitwig APIs are like complicated, because you have trees of devices, and it's not very easy to just map this to a linear list always. And I'm not satisfied with it. I mean, this is all open source. It's there. I hope I get back to this with some fresh ideas how to make this like really intuitive. So right now I feel like navigating the device chains and the tracks and all that, it's very difficult if you try to use, it's a like n-dimensional cube, and somehow it doesn't fit the knobs very well, I feel, even though the displays help. So you see the names, and so you see the track names, and you can scan through, but it's not that useful. So I have it implemented, but I don't use it much, actually.
You did prepare some pictures. Maybe we can have a look how that looks.
For the device, I can show some like pictures from the early prototyping.
Oh, yeah.
Let me put in the.
So
I will comment a bit, and I will skip through some pictures, so I couldn't filter the album too much. So this is like just the breadboard we talked about. So you see the Pico just with a lot of jumpers, the potentiometers. So these were still the encoders and the display. So this was the very early testing. And this is, and then you see like I'm even like I was running out of patch cables, and then I used these like nails that use to bind paper together.
It looks funny because it doesn't look like a controller, you know. It's just a lot of cables and potentiometer and a little display, but nice.
Let's be honest, it looked like a bomb.
Yeah, exactly. And then you
that.
see like initially I did prototyping with 3D printing. How do I build some case that holds the encoder case and so on? Didn't use it in the end. So that was then a very first version where I had a front panel and put in the encoders, and then I experimented a lot, like the LEDs. They are very bright, and I played around with how can I diffuse the light. So here I tried to use hot glue in there. It looks very messy, and it didn't really work out. So this is also like fun of these projects. You experiment, how can I do this? So how can I diffuse the LEDs that you get some nice view? So this was like one prototype that I then scrapped. Like
if you just maybe go back to the first picture, so just for people again who have not that much idea about how this works. So, but it's actually pretty simple. Huh? You have your knobs and buttons now in the display, and basically all you have to do is connect it somehow to the processor, and the processor has a USB which you can put in your computer, and that's it basically. Huh?
Exactly. Yeah. And you see these chips here. These are multiplexers because you see it's a lot of cables, and it's way more cables than you have like pins here. So you need to do some cleverness and go round robin, so you don't connect all those things straight, but you quickly iterate and say that give me data from the first, give me data from the second, give me data from the third. So it's a bunch of those things that you have to do.
Yeah, so the difficulties start now when you want to make this nice.
Yeah, exactly. And then I tried to put it together, like the first one, like really end to end, and then after a lot of soldering, you see like this is protoboard, so it's not the breadboard anymore. So this has like the Pico soldered and the multiplexers soldered and the displays and the encoders, and you see it's a mess of wires. So this is not transportable. There's a lot of like wires that I had to get right also. So this took a while to like solder and unsolder them until it works. Of course, I use colors to mean something, but that in the end, that actually I got to work. So like, so this is that first version, and it actually works. So it looks nice also because it's open. So all the LEDs make some nice
surrounding light.
Yeah, surrounding lights, like ambilight controller.
Yeah.
And then I started to I wanted to document actually the wiring, and I found a free PCB design software on the web, and that is like also a great example how this is all becoming like a lot more accessible. You have like in the past, those like PCB design and schematic software was expensive. There are good open source alternatives, but they're also maybe difficult to learn or complex to learn. And
maybe just explain a little bit what PCB is, so people know.
So this is the printed circuit board, and I can maybe quickly switch. Can I switch the sharing? Replace?
Maybe?
Yes, I can. So I found such a software on the web called EasyADA, and that is released by a company that would also produce the board for you. So I didn't do extensive research. I know that Gero uses something else and actually more true to the open source. So this is free, and I first used it to just document the schematics. So this shows, like these pictures show, like this is where the microcontroller is, and this is the chips, like the multiplexers, and this is how they're connected. And I just wanted to document this for myself, that I can like remember what I did. And then I learned that this can actually also help you to produce those things. So you can make this is the PCB version. So this is then the printed circuit board that would be produced in a factory, where you can put your chips on, and actually some of those chips, they can already solder for you. So when you order this, you can't order a single one, you have to order at least 5, and they can put these chips on, they can put these connectors there and stuff. And I said that, okay, let's try this. So this is something I have never done before in my life.
So instead of cabling everything and soldering everything, you could just take this and tell them, please create me a board prepared like you see, like you showed one, and everything is on there instead of a lot of cables.
Exactly. And I felt like this is going to be much better. So like I only have a couple of flat cables to connect things. So I have like this base board, and then I have like this board with the potentiometers and the LEDs, and I have to connect them with a ribbon cable. And so I made this, and without too much thinking, I just pressed like order and send the order, and just to see if I can get and now I will finish my slideshow in a bit. So I wanted to see if that would work, and I got these like boards, and of course the first one was like wrong. So there were like, it took me 3 iterations, very simple mistakes always, but I feel the effect is like you write a letter, you look at it, no mistakes, you feel, then you print it, and then you see, typo. And this is almost the same for PCB design. So you get it, and then you see, oh, this is of course wrong. This needs to go here. And so it took me a couple of iterations. Like here, for instance, these are placed wrong. So like one needs to be here, and one connector needs to be on the other side, because these strips will be rotated. So one connects here, and the other one will be rotated 180 degrees. So it's like mistakes. You learn from them. You burn some money because the broken ones are beyond repair. So this is like the downside of this kind of design. If it's good, it's good. But if it's broken, it's very hard to fix. But yeah, after 3 rounds, this actually worked, and I could put it together. I also found a good way for the diffusing. So these are like also 3D printed diffusers with transparent. material.
You just put like a kind of glass in between that's just diffusing a little bit.
Yeah, so this is a 3D printed kind of little transparent plastic that has a kind of a grid pattern in there that nicely scatters the light, and I like this kind of retro look. So yeah, with this I had like version 3 that like everything worked and still like a bit manually wired, and then I could put it together, and voila, this is like the first a bit more professional looking
your
version.
first version did work as well, but the things were in the wrong place.
So the very first PCB version, it didn't work. Like it had it had like several mistakes. I couldn't fully assemble it. And yeah, then you fix it, and then you send it, then you get it back and say, oh no, this is wrong.
So there is no kind of test or so in the software which checks for you if it's basically working, or?
So I'm not an electronic engineer. I have after I make this like twice, I talk to people and say that, you know, when I write code, I can do checks that I don't pass like text to a number. So why can't I do this in electronics? And people tell me, oh, you can, didn't you do this? Like, no. And then you learn how you can do this. So there are ways how you can actually do this in electronics design. Maybe not in this cheap software that I'm using here. I think this is try and error, and this is fairly normal when you do this yourself. I was not expecting that the first version works. I think if you make your first printed circuit board, having it working like from the start, even for something simple like that, is almost like a bit like, yeah.
And what do you pay to get this manufactured? What's the price for such a thing?
I think to get like 10 of these and 5 of these, I printed like I paid like on the order of €100, including like these connectors and the chips and the LEDs. So it's okay. Maybe 120 or something.
But I also think the assembly is a big part of that, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I could optimize it so that its assembly is only on one side. This saved a lot of money. Like the LEDs, I found LEDs that are like upside down, and they can put them on the underside, so they are on the same side as this like connector, and that saved a lot of money. So they drill some holes, and then the LEDs, they shine through from the other side, and then I didn't have to get it assembled on two sides, and this would make it more expensive. But yeah, there's a lot of like little details what you learn, and then you see like, oh, I can do this, and it gets cheaper, and I can do this, but the components are fairly cheap. Like the LEDs are like 6 cents, and these chips are like 10 cents, and these connectors are like, I don't know, 7. It's like,
I feel like we've been throwing around quite some big numbers, and I feel like for people thinking about trying this, all of this really isn't necessary. Like you can start with a couple of wires and a microcontroller and a little knob, and that's like $5 or maybe 10, and the end result will be good enough. It will be more work probably, and it might break when you throw it around. But the entry, the barrier of entry is very low, and actually, since there's a USB port on the microcontroller that also speaks MIDI, a MIDI controller is like a perfect entry point.
Yeah, second that. Yeah, start like with everything. Have bold ambitions, but start simple. And I think the hello word of microcontrollers is the blinking LED, and that's a good reason. Like you start with that, and driving 2 displays and all these like knobs and everything that gives you challenges, and you don't want to start with that.
Yeah, I did the blinking LED as well, so that's how far I got.
So you did your hello word, I didn't.
Yeah.
So speaking of touch, actually, I integrated touch. So I noticed that these potentiometers, I also read them out with the 14-bit fine movements, and they actually, because they're analog, they jitter all the time. And what happens when they jitter is like Bitwig always says, oh, your project has changed. Do you want to save it? Like, no, I haven't changed anything. And that's why I added touch. So on my controller, you need to, like, by default, it's sort of like in a passive mode, and the LEDs are not fully bright. And then you have to touch this, and then the knobs do something, and then you can deactivate it again. And so you can, in a passive mode, you see the movements of the display when you have automation. But if you touch the knobs, nothing happens. It doesn't send anything. So if there's some noise that gets like recorded, it doesn't change your DAW. And only when you actually want to change the sound, you activate it, you dial, and then you deactivate it. And this is something that I would like to change in a future version by making these caps actually metal, so that you can just, when you touch the potentiometer, it sends, and when you let it go, it doesn't send anything. And that is something that I'm experimenting currently. Like right now, these caps are plastic, so you can't sense touch through them.
Okay.
But if you could make them metal, I have a prototype where the metal touching works, but that means I need to look into CNC milling to get like metal knobs. So
I'll hit you up again, Stefan, because that's something that I focused on basically almost since I built the thing. This is the part that I try to optimize. And right now I'm feeling really good about my latest changes.
Okay.
I feel like I also thought about the touch unlock thing, but I feel like probably it's not necessary anymore for me.
Yep, cool. Yeah. Awesome.
So mystical announcements. Sounds
Yeah,
like.
so
Already,
Gero,
it's already out in the open.
But what I think on that, if you don't have those metal knobs to dial, maybe there's a little metal plate on top of the plastic, and maybe if you touch that and you get I don't know if that works with electricity of the skin or something, and maybe you can activate it with this and you get a round of the whole CNC cutting. I don't know.
Yeah, you could cover this. Like there's actually I printed some of the knobs, and there is a conductive PLA. So PLA is a material that people use for printing. Yeah, but conductive PLA is quite expensive also.
Okay.
So it's like a spool, 1 kilogram, or like 1 kilogram of actually conductive PLA is like 50 euros. You can print a lot of knobs from that. Like a kilogram of knobs is like. But so far I haven't like jumped the gun and ordered conductive PLA because I wasn't like that convinced from many reviews whether it's like how conductive it is. But yeah, maybe I'll try that. But definitely,
once again, we should talk about this because I have bought this spool and I have printed 3 knobs and I have the leftovers.
Yeah, so yeah, there will be many Discord chats in the next days.
I haven't heard about that. So how does it work?
Conductive filament.
Yeah.
It's basically plastic with a lot of small metal shavings inside. And I think they're using iron because it's very conductive. Not quite sure, but I think it's iron. And it does have some high resistance, but it's enough for a couple of tasks. And having touch sensitivity, like conductive touch, is one of the things that it does pretty well.
And how do you connect the cable to it then? How does that work?
Yeah, you need to, for the thing that I held up into the camera, and I should also actually talk about this and not just show it for the audio listeners, that's a game controller, and that does have a black part where you put your finger and it's conductive, also printed in PLA, and it is connected inside of the case to a spring, and the spring is electrically connected. So just the plastic and metal thing, the conductive material, touching the spring is enough for a touch to register.
Okay, I see.
What you actually do is like on my controller right now, this is just a split pin that you use to like you punch it through a piece of paper and bend the legs. So I just put that into the front, and then the legs I solder like wires to them, and then the conductive is sort of like you just charge this up and measure the discharge, and when someone touches it with the finger, then this changes the discharge behavior, and you can measure these timing differences. So that is how you know whether like a finger, like someone touched it. And so if you put this on the knob, it's probably best if you have the metal on the sides, so not just at the top. But yeah, I think Odo's idea to just have like sort of like cut off the top of the potentiometer and put something metal there, like could also maybe put my split pin there, might even work. It's a little, again, away from mass production. So like I think nowadays like these sites where I ordered the PCB, you can order 3D printed parts you can order like CNC milled parts. So I think I wanted to check if I sent them like a 3D design for a knob, how much would it cost if I asked them to make like 40 of them. I need to order the knobs anyway. I mean, nowadays I can print them, but yeah. So I wanted to explore this, but yeah, many options.
So what you say, those companies, maybe you can tell them, I want to have a knob like that. On top is like this metal thingy, or on the sides are like metal stripes or something, and you could get that. Okay, then I did
Yeah,
get
just
that
metal.
wrong.
If you, for instance, CNC milling, they would mill it out of aluminium. So you can order that, and they'll just make aluminium knobs for you, whatever design you send them. Yeah, it's crazy. You can get everything manufactured nowadays.
But it's interesting. I mean, you both have like a really nice controller, and especially the high resolution is really a big thing. What I wanted to ask you both is because I have that on one of my controller, and you were talking about that, but I didn't get how you integrated, or if you integrated that, this speed up when you dial such a knob. Is this something you wanted, or is when you dial a controller, regardless of the speed, it always makes the same speed in the software, or did you want to have this acceleration?
So maybe I'm taking this one.
Please.
I wanted to be in a place where I don't need it, because it feels like a workaround to try and solve a problem of encoders. But it always felt bad to me, like not quite the amount of control that I would expect. Like maybe it's possible to do it good, but I have never used an encoder that felt good. And what I'm doing now, by choice, there's no acceleration happening, and I'm trying to have the rotation of the knob always match the rotation of the dot. I'm not sure how well that translates on video, but the idea is to have a quick turn be the same logic as a slow turn, and the rotation, like the degrees, always match with what is actually transmitted. It's not 100% sure if we're being really nitpicky, but the general direction is like that.
But it feels like what you're turning feels like what you wanted to do.
Yeah. To me, it's like, especially because of that's a very detailed thing, but I'm opening up all the potentiometers and replacing the grease inside of them, because the factory grease is a little bit too thick for my taste. And with the new grease that I put in there, it feels perfect to me. Like there's barely anything that I can think of that would make them feel better.
So, but for my understanding, again, because maybe I got it wrong. So, with the let's say old knobs, you turn it like 270. What is it? No, 360 something. You turn it around, and then you have the whole spectrum of values you want to turn. So, with your knob, you would need to turn it more than 360 degrees.
No. It's exactly also 360 degrees, like probably a bit less, because you want to look a bit like a potentiometer, where you have left bottom and right bottom.
Yeah.
And yeah, the goal is basically that it feels exactly like those potentiometers that you have on old synthesizers, or the volume knobs that we all used on old stereos. But just so that it's not fixed at these two places, it can basically update itself if anything changes in the software.
Okay.
What I feel like, if the goal for me was that, like, you switch between devices, and you don't wanna look too much. You just wanna grab the knob, and if you turn it like clockwise, you increase the value. If you turn it counterclockwise, you decrease the value. You know that, like, whatever you just selected, they are always at the right position. There's no need to look there to do first the takeover. So you can really just like keep your mouse at the door and just use the left hand, for instance, in my case, to just increase the cutoff, reduce the resonance a bit, and it just always relatively increases or decreases. And for me, like the 360 degrees are always mapping the whole range. So the response is also fine. That I think this works well. What I'm still like thinking about is for all those quantized parameters, like when you select the filter type or you select the waveform. I added, I don't think we can see it. I added like tick marks. So there's like little ticks that says low pass. And then there are little ticks that tell you how many values you can choose. Unfortunately, the camera
on the display, like a measuring.
On the display, you see like little
see,
ticks, and then if I dial this, then it changed the value, but there maybe the turning should respond to how many values you actually have there. So this is still like something that I'm considering to see, like for those parameters that have n settings, that you always want to turn 10 degrees to go to the next entry. Because now if you only have 3 values, you have to turn it like by a lot and yeah, by 100 something, 120. And if you have like a lot of filter modes, then it's so this is something that I still consider changing and see. I mean, flashing is very nice, easy, so you could test this very easy. One thing I want to show what I tried, and Odo, we talked about this, is like since they are endless, like when you hit the end of the cutoff, now I have to see. What I did is then it will blink. It will blink. Yeah, it's blurry.
No.
If I hit the end, then the LED will flash.
Yeah.
So you kind of like, because there's no tactile feedback on those, I wanted to play. If you just from the side of your eye, if you hit the end stop, like
you get
the
a feedback.
You get some flashing, and actually that works. So you see that not even looking, you see this like this is flashing.
Nice.
So this is some form of feedback that you're hitting the end stop.
But your dream was like a tactile, getting a tactile feedback.
Yeah, next step.
yeah.
But I was just wondering about the Melbourne Instruments. Has these motorized knobs?
Yeah,
are they also available on the market, or is it something they designed themselves?
Good question. I don't know if they sell, or if anybody sells the exact components, but from my understanding, it's basically a motor that can also read the angular position, and that's something that I think a specific type of motor can always do. I think it's called something like closed loops, something, whatever. So I believe there are lots of motors that can be misused as dials, and it's probably a lot about figuring out the ones that are good dials. Actually,
I experimented a bit with this. So I had some old hard drives, and before I scrapped them, I took them apart because I wanted to show my kids also what was in what was actually in a hard drive, because soon there won't be any hard drives anymore, maybe, and then they're never going to see it. And actually, those motors in the hard drives, they have like a flat cable that has multiple kind of contacts, and you get sensing in which direction you turn it and these kind of things. So you could build an encoder from that motor. And what I really love about the Melbourne Instruments ones is that they can put in resistance. So you can make it clicky if you want. They can signal the end stop, but it's also like it really plays in a different price range. It's a lot more complicated also. So I feel there's like a lot of options, but it's a really nice choice. So from the feel, I really like them. But what I also like is we saw this on Superboost with Odo. You need to help me. How was the synth called?
This really expensive synth we were standing there.
Yeah, where they had the plates also where they can exchange the UI. So they the nonlinear labs, nonlinear labs.
C25.
Yeah. So what they put is they use these kind of like potentiometers that we use, the endless pots, but they didn't make a fixed PCB, but they kind of cut out a U shape so that the pot is like not that fixed. They also don't screw it into the front panel, and then they put a vibrator underneath, and they can make it vibrate, and this gives you this kind of feedback. So this is like what I want to try next, but this brings a lot of challenges also. So it's like from the wiring, it's easy. I would still have enough pins on my microcontroller to have like 8 of these like piezo vibrators under the pots, but then you can't screw them into your
What's the idea
panel.
of that? So in what case does it vibrate?
So when you hit the end, for instance, when you hit 0 hertz
Okay.
or the maximum on a filter, but also when you select the waveform, then every time you
Get like
you
a pulse
click,
on your hand.
you get a little bit of a pulse. So you just make it like really quickly vibrate when you get from sine to saw to square. So you don't have to look at the device, even though these displays are beautiful. You want to look at them, but you don't have to. You can also just dial to the next step without having to look at it. So this somehow is, I find that fascinating. I want to definitely play with it and
Kind
see.
of tactile feedback,
Yeah,
when you-
exactly.
the steps, for example.
Maybe it's overkill, but yeah, curious.
But that's what I find especially impressive about the Melbourne Instruments ones, that you really can feel those steps.
Yeah,
So that's,
exactly.
That's the thing. That's
That's the
exactly
thing.
So that's
Yeah.
the same with vibrators then.
Yeah, it's a little bit so with the Melbourne Instruments, you can really, the motor has some power, so it can really resist you kind of like dialing it further,
Yeah.
but of course you can overcome it. So like when you play with the Melbourne Instrument, you can just like endlessly rotate it, but you have to overcome this resistance.
Yeah,
With the
feel
vibrators,
quite
there's
some
no
strength.
resistance. You just get a little bit of a vibration, but I still found like with the nonlinear lapse one, this felt actually quite
Yeah.
nice, and it's much simpler. And like with the motors, the whole power design has to be rethought. Like if you have 8 motors in your controller, yeah,
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Yeah, in the
So
chat, like,
that's next.
just do
Yeah.
some voltage feedback.
Exactly. That's why I want to have metal knobs, so you can give a little shock. Hey, 99% resonance. Anything more is verboten. Yeah, no. I think with the Melbourne Instruments one, the whole power supply thing has to be thought through. It's like driving 8 motors is a bit of a challenge. You can't power them off a USB port, but the vibrators you can still power it from the USB port, so they don't need a lot of like power. So I think it's simpler.
Yeah, there are some really nice ideas about all that, and when you saw that, I saw your eyes like, oh, that's a good idea too.
Yeah.
I may can implement this. And even if people are watching this or listening to that, if you have some ideas, then go to Stefan and to Gero and tell them,
Yep.
because maybe they are open, maybe they can implement it, or maybe you can just share your knowledge with each other, and maybe you get some more ideas how to make it more cheaper and more with more functions and all that.
So what is the current state of it? Where can people find out more? Do you have published that on GitHub, for example? Is it open source or also open hardware? Or what is that?
So yeah, my project is fully open source, and I also chose licenses that require the changes to be also released under the same licenses. I tried that for hardware as well. To be perfectly honest, I'm not too familiar with that, so I think that's the same, but not quite sure. But I myself, everything I did, I wanted to keep open and use open software as well, which has been a bit of a challenge for the case design as well. The options to do, like the open source options to do CAD modeling, are very limited. And let me think. What was the other part of the question? Is it developed? Is it released?
Yeah, that was
yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it is.
I think you answered the question.
All right, nice.
And Stefan?
Yeah, and it's quite similar in my case. So like, yeah, you can find all the information on GitHub. Also, in my case, it's GPL. So any modifications that someone makes need to be published as open source. Also, I feel this is super important to just share the knowledge. It's a fun project. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from other people's work. So I published this under this like very open license, and I want other people that build on the work that we did here also to publish it so that people can learn from it. In the repository, you have the code. It's under this license. There's also the schematics, like what I showed, and easy-ADA. So this schematics can be actually imported also in other programs. And this is also under the GPL license. It's a little bit weird. There are open hardware licenses, but from my experience, you can also just use the GPL for these files. And I also have the 3D print files there. I actually use OpenSCAD for the enclosure. That's also like an open source CAD program, but it's a bit unusual. You have to write text you have to write, I want to have a box there. I want to carve out holes in these places. For me as a software engineer, it's quite nice because you get it very precise. You don't move anything with your mouse. You just calculate everything. And then it's a simple square, a kind of a rectangular box, so it's not too difficult. Like OpenSCAD is not the software you want to use if you want to build a Pokemon for 3D printing. But if you want to make a box with holes and kind of like some tubes where you can put in screws, it's perfect. It's not that complicated. And that's all in the repository. So if people want to build their own, they can 3D print either with their own printer or with printing services. They can order the PCBs and they can buy the parts and then build it and use it.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I don't think that writing text is nowadays a really big problem because everybody starts prompting. So
exactly.
maybe this is the other way around.
Yeah. That's very true. That's actually a trend. Everything that works with text is like something that AI can help you understanding. You can even ask AI also explain what is the guy doing in this file.
Thankfully, they can't really build the whole controller yet, so there's still work for us.
Yeah, that's true. And even though it's the fun part also for me, like the learning and yeah.
You don't know. Maybe they can print it with a 3D printer for you. So everything's done.
Or kind of a really new, absurd controller comes out when you ask the AI to do something. So,
So great. And where can people get in touch? You mentioned Discord or something. Is it the Bitwig Discord channel or somewhere else?
Yeah, for instance.
Yeah, for me, I do have my personal homepage. I think Odo showed it, gerotake.de. I'm somewhat active on Mastodon as well. And I think like for news for the controller, Mastodon is probably my personal account there is probably the best place.
Yeah, for me, the GitHub page works. Bitwig Discord works. Yeah, you're going to find me.
Everywhere. So, did we talk about all of the controllers now? Is there something maybe because you were talking kind of mystical before that?
I wasn't trying to be mystical. It's something that I've been working on that has not been released, but it's already available. It's just and it's only the same thing but a little bit better.
Okay. I just want to give you a chance to make like a kind of a little announcement what you're working on.
That would have been great. That would have been great, but I don't have anything to announce. I'm sorry.
No, I mean improving the one you already have is already an announcement. So because I only knew that you had your original controller. I didn't know about that you're improving it. So for me, it's a big announcement. So Jürgen, do you have some additional questions, or maybe the chat has some additional questions on that? They're just totally astonished, listening and already like looking what they can develop. I think so.
Already putting out the glue and everything. And starting.
I'm quite sure they're cloning the repository and placing the orders.
Heating the solder and iron.
So
I'm pretty sure they do.
But coming back to Odo's idea, I think that would be great to have an online stream where you build one controller from start to finish, and people can ask and play along. And
Yeah.
We call this party assembly. Oh no, it's already taken.
yeah.
Yeah, also with the idea that you always have to order at least 5 PCBs and then
Yep.
finding a group of people that's interested, that would be a nice idea.
Yeah.
Really great.
And especially it would be good if you have some maker place when people from the same area find together, so you don't have to send and all that stuff. That would be good, and that's always a good thing for community. So, but you know what I'm always like thinking of is, because these 8 controllers, I don't know how they started, like the remote pages on Bitwig, you know, but I think that comes from the 8-bit, from the early computer area to
Maybe.
control the synthesizers and stuff. I don't know why 8. I mean, there are some with 9, but normally they are 8. But still, these 8 are really, you normally don't need much more for that.
I feel like it has something to do with keeping the overview as well. Like if there are too many knobs, it gets kind of crowded and hard to. You try to use them without looking, and I think 8 is kind of the limit for that, at least for me.
It's a nice limit. It's a nice limit. Like you said, the overview is one of the thing, and you can just, if you don't look, you can count with your fingers. Where am I?
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, it's interesting that it's not just Bitwig, right? It's also, I think, in Ableton and in Logic as well. It's very widespread that it's exactly 8 parameters.
Cubase as well, oh? Jürgen, you're a Cubase user, or were, or are?
I think it's more about microcontroller having 8 faders.
That could be. Yeah.
Now we agreed, everybody, and now you come with Mackie.
Everybody's using that for ages.
Yeah.
What I felt was the Bitwig interface with the large one knob. When they made the API improvements where you have this like touch mode where you just hover with the mouse over control and then you dial the value, I implemented this also with the, like, if you press the button and goes to the second mode, then one knob is this touch for this like follow hover mode.
Okay.
And that's actually super useful. So quite often I use that actually a lot. So instead of using the control pages that are mapped, and there's so many devices that I don't remember it, like which page. I mean, the device page is nice for jamming. So you sometimes I create a project level device page, and I just do like in the not a sequence, just in the clips mode, having some stuff running, and then I can jam and I just have these 8 knobs that I want to dial, and no pages. But when I actually write music or make music and I want to just adjust stuff, then you always have to go through the different device pages. So using this mode where you move the mouse over the thing that you want to change and then use the other hand to adjust it, it's actually quite cool. I like that. So maybe in the future we just need one big knob.
Maybe, you know, but because of this overview, because I'm using Jürgen's driven by Moss generic FlexiScript a lot with my controllers, and just released yesterday or the day before the one thing for the Arturia Mini Lab. And the one thing that strikes me always is the knobs are great, but for example, if I'm playing on the side and don't look at the screen, I always have the problem that I don't know out of my head what is the next parameter page and so on. And that's why I'm thinking of using, Jürgen, you have the OSC control as well in the driven by Moss scripts. So just to use a smartphone or something that I can connect to, so I can use the smartphone here and use the smartphone, for example, as a touch device to change the parameter pages that are listed like 4 or 8 parameter pages, so I can directly jump there without scrolling through. Yeah, you know, that's something. So the eight knobs are really great, and now the overview is the next step that I have to overcome somewhere, so I don't have always to go back and forth to the screen.
There's also an app, an iPhone app. I'm not sure if it's also Android, and I'm not sure if it's released as well, which is called Oscleton, because it was some sort of Osc Ableton sonic, and now it's also available for Bitwig. I did the beta testing thing some time ago, but I kind of lost track of it. There was too much going on, and I didn't keep up what was happening with it.
Osculton. Maybe the chat can look if there's something like that for iOS and Android. That would be interesting. Because this is for me let's say for my use cases currently like the last link I need. So I don't have to watch all the time the screen, and the device changes as well with the tracks and the devices. So I'm always like on the push.
Yeah, it works on Android. I tried this also, and it can be useful for that.
So I think it's really purposely made for showing the remote pages on the screen. I'm not sure if it has buttons, but it shows all the parameters and the names.
I just need overview, and if it's possible, because the smartphone touch, so I can just switch it there. So
you can also just run the OC server that's free, and then you can with a browser on the mobile phone you can access the page.
It's so nice when I change the settings here, I see how my controller also then responds to the changed tracks.
As long as it's not running away, everything's fine.
Okay, but as if Bitwig had knew that our show is today, they released this week the beta 6.1.
Beta 1.
Well, what do you think of it?
Did you have time to look at it?
Yeah. Did you check it out already?
I have downloaded it, and I saw what the changes were, but the one thing that I really tested was the tuner, funnily, because I do play guitar, and having a tuner in Bitwig was something that I was looking forward to. And yeah, it's a good tuner when it works, apparently. But yeah, for me right now, it does display, and it's actually, it's not super easy to make a good guitar tuner, and that is a good guitar tuner.
Okay.
You are on Linux or on Mac?
I'm on Mac.
Okay, so Mac works, as we found out. Linux is pretty random working, and Windows does not show any control. It shows only the controls.
Mm-hmm. No, not yeah. But you sent me a picture where you saw the rest of the thing.
Right. If I duplicate the tuner several times, then I could see on one the lower part was working.
It was a lot, like 20 or 30 times.
Yeah. But I guess this will be fixed in beta 2 because it should be simple to fix. I hope so. Yeah, but the tuner was also actually something I was waiting for. I always had a VST for that because also I need to check samples or something like that. So it's pretty helpful to have.
Absolutely.
To have one.
You know, when I missed the tuner most, at the one challenge that Odo made was like where we are supposed to make all the sounds from the voice. So I recorded one sentence: the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, which is the English sentence to test all letters in the alphabet for font selectors. And I thought that, okay, this is a sentence where I have all the vowels in there. It's not true, but it has a lot of them. And then I cut out stuff that I use for all the instruments, built all the instruments from this recording, and then you need to tune them. And then I was looking for, like, there are some Bitwig patches that implement tuners, and you can use the tree monster bit to try to make a tuner. But since I'm on Linux, a lot of the VSTs, I didn't want to go through trying all kind of free tuner VSTs. I think the Meta tuner was like quite okay, was working well. But yeah, so this would have been handy to have the tuner when doing the sample challenge, because when I recorded that sentence, I didn't pay any attention to what kind of like pitch I'm using for recording. And yeah, so great that we have it now.
So we need to have another challenge now, because there's a tuner in Bitwig.
Of course, yeah.
But I also noticed that if you go below a certain register, it stops working. Did you notice that too?
I didn't, but I only tried it with guitar. I didn't try it with bass yet.
So, yeah. I tried it with my Arduino because I was experimenting with my sample converter, and I wanted to see if the tuning was correct. And then if I played just lower C2 or something, there was no output.
What I did notice, actually, by mistake. My guitar ran out of battery, and the tuner worked perfectly. And when I disabled it, I heard nothing, like nothing at all. It was so quiet, and the tuner still picked it up somehow.
Whoa.
Okay.
You have on this tuner, you have also this threshold knob, right?
I think that's just the volume of the signal that goes through. I'm not sure.
Yeah, so you can turn down the signal.
What you hear after the tuner, right?
Before the tuner, I think. So if this signal is too hot, as I didn't come up with an example where I could use it, but I thought maybe sometimes the signal is too hot or too, I don't know. So you can just like a threshold or input gain or something like that, that you can turn it down or up to get a right, so the tuner can guess it better. Or I don't know. I'm not an expert on tuning, so.
We can check the help page, the F1 page, to see what they wrote. Maybe they explained the parameter, maybe not.
Maybe not. So, Stefan, what was your, let's say, what impressed you most, or what were you most happy about? Which feature? Did you have some, or you're just like overwhelmed?
So I have a doc where I write down like ideas whenever I get some, and from time to time I send a dump to the Bitwig people, and I actually hadn't sent some of the sampler ideas yet, and I like the pitch kind of tracking. So I still have to see how good it is, but yeah, it's nice that like if you have samples that are a bit longer and they have some kind of like bending in there, then so far it was not clear what pitch they actually used, if it was the average or something in the middle, or I don't know. And now you get that curve in there, and it can flatten it. It can kind of like counter it, and then you can play it melodically. I think this has a lot of potential. I like that. So would be nice if you can even like dial in whether you want to exaggerate it or like just take it down a bit. I would love to also see them doing that on the audio track. So if you could like analyze the pitch on the audio track and turn it into a pitch modulator and flatten it, that could be nice. Then you can change, at least for monophonic audio, you can like change the pitches afterwards. So that could be quite nice. So I think
like a little Melodyne.
Yeah, almost. But it's good also. I think now that they play with this technology, this is maybe the first step, and will hopefully expand into other areas in Bitwig. So I really like it, and I think the sampler has already it's a great plugin. But now I see there's like countless hours of like trying stuff with it, and I think I've been actually not using samples so much with Bitwig, and more like synthesis. But this is probably like really nice update, and your songs get a bit of a new character and a new touch because you can play with these granular effects and all that more.
I didn't fully get that with the pitch detection. I recorded some notes and I thought maybe I can split them up and have a kind of auto sampler. But so I recorded some notes from lower to higher, just C and G, and the pitch it showed was more or less random. it went upwards, but also some downwards, and so I'm not sure if the pitch detection is not that good or if I got something wrong there. And I didn't see that you said you can flatten the curve. How is Odo? Maybe you can show it for a second.
Yeah, it flattens the curve. So when it has detected a pitch, this is how I understood it. Is then it will straighten it, and then you can play it at different pitches, and it will then represent those notes that you play regardless of what was actually in there. So when you record a C-E-G C major chord, and you have these three notes, if you do this pitch analysis and you play a tone, it should be, if you play a C, it should just be a C, and if you play a G, it should be 3 Gs. That's what I understood. I haven't tried it yet because I'm finishing a project this weekend, and I didn't want to install the beta yet. But I want to play with it.
Maybe Odo, maybe you can just put a polysynth in there and put in there 3 notes after each other, and then render it, and then put it in a sampler. What happens? That's
exactly. Yeah, play 3 tones, one after the other, so not overlapping, and see what they analyze.
Yeah, just give me a
if
second.
your computer can cope with all that stuff happening here.
So the you wanted the polysynth.
Yeah, whatever, whichever you.
And
Let's
no
keep it
sophisticated
simple.
sound design. Very simple tones.
Just like some tones after. Let me
Yeah.
solo this, so because
Just put a clip in there. Perfect.
okay, that was a little bit too much. So it's kind of quite slow. So let's get rid of that because we have too many notes there. Then bounce it down. You wanted to have it in the sampler, right?
Yep.
Bounce in place. Like
So
this.
now put it in the sampler.
Where are you, sampler? Like this, and then in here. Maybe
And then you click on this like root, and this icon.
one. So let's see if it works now, because before it didn't work. I don't know why.
Oh, it didn't work at all?
No, it worked before, but with the example I had, it didn't work.
Ah, that looks better.
You can see it, yeah.
Yeah. If you now play just the C on your keyboard,
And maybe you can
and hold
open this pop-out window. Maybe
the large one.
It doesn't look much bigger.
But at least a little bit you can see here.
Can you hear something?
No.
It's
solo. The other track was soloed. The one that
you are right. You are right. Let's solo this one. And now I'm playing a C. But
there are glitches.
That's what I expected.
Yeah, but it's nice. And we can use the wrong window. We can use the tuner.
So this flattening happens automatically.
Yeah, if you do this mode, then it flattens it.
Okay.
See, it's always
I think the sounds, like the tails, overlapped a bit, and that's why you have these, like in the transition parts, because the notes overlapped, and so you have these places where it's not sure, and then you get these glitches. But I think if your notes are more separated, if you cut them, make them a little bit shorter, like play 16s with 16s pauses, then maybe it would be smoother. But I think it doesn't have to be perfect. But I think the idea is that now when you play the C, it's more or less a C with these glitches. And for these glitches, you just add delay and reverb, and then it sounds like awesome. Creates overtones. Shimmer. It's a feature.
Shimmer. Yeah, exactly.
To try it with a full mix or something. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, if you have time, we can do that, but it really needs time then for today. Yeah.
I wonder why they didn't like fully polymerize. Like, does the sampler, does it have like now a menu where you turn it into a grid?
No.
Because that
sampler is not a grid instrument.
Yeah, well, there is a grid instrument already for it, and I wonder why they don't offer like converting the sampler to the grid. Because you
mean just sampler from S device, put it in the grid.
Yeah. So it would be nice if they could convert it, because what I would like to see in the sampler is for the envelopes and for the filters, I would like to just use all the grid filters and the grid envelopes in there. So if they could make this like the grid version of it, then they could just turn it into grid. If you want to add a second sampler to your patch for like a transient on a sound, then you always have this way. You don't have to start over, and it could give the sampler a lot more like variations if you could use different filters and different envelopes on it. But yeah, well,
That's true.
There's always version 7.
You're always free to send an email with a feature
Yeah,
request.
exactly. That's exactly what I did.
Okay. Okay. So when we get it, it was your idea.
Yeah, maybe. But it's awesome already. So I'm always happy when they do these kind of things. So I think they put a lot of thought in this already.
Absolutely.
And I look forward to play with it.
Yeah, when I made the live stream last Thursday, I was totally lost. I think for 40 minutes or something, just playing and trying with one sample and getting lots of different sounds out of it. Like, okay, what's happening here? Yeah.
And then forget about it and never use it again.
No, but that's the thing. I'm always using like synthesizers, but I should also use the sampler since a longer time. I always try to remember myself, like, use it, because you're really giving away a lot of potential. And even now with this sampler, you should be, I think you must be crazy if you don't use it, because you can improve your sounds on so many different levels, on rhythmically, or like all this granular stuff that's in there with the fragments, or even the texture, or even spectral and cycle. You can get so many different sounds out of it, and yeah, if you're searching, instead of looking like all the presets or samples you have, just put some samples in there and just play with the knobs. Yeah,
and mangle it exactly.
Yeah. I feel like it's always adding some sort of organic quality to the sound. That's usually the analog warmth hippie stuff. But I think synth versus samplers, it really shows that it really is. That's the place where I get to be hippie.
Oh, that's what I actually liked a lot, was that analog knob in the normal sampler mode. That's really nice for drums. And
I think there's the tape one as well, right? I tried that just quickly, and I thought it sounded really good.
And also the digital one was instant C64 vibes, the bit crusher and the filter mangling. So that sounded like really, really distorted and nice. And yeah.
What I really liked, and sometimes these are really the small ones, but I always like when Bitwig pay attention to some small changes, and this was like really small, but you do it all the time, again and again, and this was one where these buttons, like the macro, the button, the macro 4, and that when you load them into the modulator, they are already on 100%. This is such a little thing, but you do it anyway. So why don't make it as a default, like 100%, so you can dial in the parameter you want to change, and you already know, and then it's done. And this are those little things that when Bitwig is doing that. And by the way, bouncing a track, please, Bitwig, put the name of the bounce track in the track header and just say audio blah 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 or bounce blah blah blah, not audio 1 2 3. I always have to rename it. And the color would be nice too. This is something we do every time, again and again and again. But these little things is so nice as well. Like they changed with the Polysynth Phase 4 and something. The key tracking, when you double click it, it's on 100%, not on 50%. These little things are, sometimes you do it all the time again. Okay, it's not a problem, but you have to do it lots of times, and why not have it as default?
For me, it was the mapping, when you're already mapping one parameter and you click something, then the next one is focused. That a lot of people didn't like it, but I loved it. Absolutely.
Absolutely, yeah. It's really great. So what was else? The new bell filter on the sampler was nice too. So you can change it. The first time I searched the filter because I didn't find it. It was just shrink down. Where's the filter?
Show me. I did miss that, I think.
Really? Okay, wait.
Yeah, they had to squash all the UI a bit to make space for all the new things, but it's okay. It's not too cramped.
So the filter is now here.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you select it like
Yeah.
this. This is
Yeah.
the new. And before that was like I don't remember even where it was. But
Wasn't there an envelope? Is that gone or?
No,
No,
the
they-
gate, that's this. The filter never had an envelope there.
Okay.
So you always had to use a modulator for the filter envelope.
yeah. And the one with the modulators I was talking of when I now load a macro, for example, macro knob, it's already on 100% here. You don't have to use this to see how far you modulate something. For example, maybe this was a bad idea. So maybe like this. So, and then you know this is the maximum I'm modulating, and this is a little thing, and I really like that they looking sometimes on those little things. Like I'm always really happy when they're going to work on workflow stuff.
Sorry, I didn't get the last one. Say if you use a macro, then
Yeah, for example, if you load a macro or let's say a button, it's the same. You load the button and it's already clicked because you want to modulate something in as much like this, for example, when it's clicked. So normally it was loaded like this. You had to click it and then going to modulate it.
Yeah, I see.
So, and this is these little things that are just great. It's easy, but sometimes difficult to implement it from the beginning. And then there are these things. Wait, maybe I find that when you turn on loop, for example, this node off actions. So if you play in a loop like this, what happens when you release the key? So it remains in the loop when you have a longer release, or it exits immediately from the loop to the outside and plays the end, or it's just continue freely. So it plays the loop to the end, and as long the releases, it's just playing the rest of the sample or something. There are so many new, really great little or big additions, however you want. They're really, really great. And I need to look again at the multisamples. I totally forgot that because I don't know when I used the last time multisamples, and they did some things there too with the multisamples, but totally forgot about it, how that works, to be honest. I think this was one of my first tutorials I did with this, or one of the, between the first 10, the sampler and with the multi-samples, and got all of through that things. And now they improved that too. And yeah, I'm really, really, really overwhelmed with this new features of the sampler. Really.
But one question, this root thing, if I see that again, but you cannot change it in any way, or can you?
You can, as far
For
as I
example,
get,
if it detected now. Okay, so if you change
that
one,
and the sense too.
Great.
But that's now not dynamic anymore, right? So it
Yeah,
doesn't
no,
show
right.
the pitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and if there are misdetection, you can't it's not drawable. You can't like use your mouse and correct like mistakes in the detection. Like for the slicing, they have ways how you can, like, when it detects the onsets, and if you say that there's some ratchet and don't ignore the onsets there, you can just edit them and take them out. But here for the yellow line, there's nothing you can do to kind of like correct it right now. Maybe. Yeah. To cite
So it always
someone that shall
tunes it
send
to
an
the
email.
note you play, the whole sample.
Again,
It tunes, yeah.
So it always tunes it to the note you play, the whole
Exactly.
sample.
Yeah.
Yes. I wonder what it does for, like, if you load a psychic that has this very sharp kind of like a sub kick or something where you have a lot of like frequency drop.
I think the painting or the line will be like then a middle finger.
But I mean, then it turns it into a sine wave, right?
maybe.
Yeah.
Like,
and I need to try that.
WTF, what you're doing?
Yeah,
But
testing the
that's-
edge cases gives always the nicest results.
Yeah,
You're right.
but it's of course not meant for that. Also, like for like a kick, you just keep it on like a static note, or not even transpose it at all. But it will be fun. I think there's just like fun stuff you can do with it.
And this one, to map it to the project tempo, is also a nice thing, that you can click it and then the sample behaves to the project tempo. But I'm not really sure which all those maybe in all those modes. I'm not really sure. Yeah,
It's already that they decouple pitch and speed is awesome. Like this is so great that you can control them independently.
So what does it mean now with this dynamic mode, or is it totally independent from this dynamic mode?
Please go.
This timing button.
This one, the BPM.
Independent, yeah.
It's independent.
But what does it really do, the BPM button? I haven't understood that yet.
Maybe it's explained. Can you read that?
Yeah. Playback speed. Oh, that's nice.
When enabled, playback speed takes both the sample tempo and the project BPM into account.
If you have a drum loop, it will play it automatically at the project tempo.
Yeah.
Nice. Or if it's like a chord loop, then the chord changes will always happen on the click.
Yeah, exactly.
Nice.
So there are a lot of things, and I think we need a lot of time to get all this. And then when we're creating music, to remember all that, these many possibilities. But it's just as I said in the last live stream, I was just lost for 40 minutes.
Yeah, but lost.
I mean, Odo, seriously, we can just do another challenge where we say that, hey, only use the new sampler and make a song, only use the new sampler and try to use as many of these, like use all the different modes in your track. Like, you must use spectrum.
Every new track has to be a sample of the previous track.
Now it goes meta.
Yeah. That's going to be annoying because you're going to have to bounce over and over. But like even, you could use like a one sample thing, but use the different modes.
Yeah.
Might be the best way to explore and learn what it means. How they work.
Since someone said the word meta, I think we come to the final end of the show. We hit the 2-hour mark again. Odo, I hand the word over to you.
Yeah. So, are there any final words from you about the controller, about Bitwig, about whatever you want to tell, like announcing a workshop for soldering or whatever? I don't know. It would be now the best time to give it to the people because they're also already interested in that topic. But maybe let's make the round. Stefan, you want to start with your last words? Maybe if you have, or just say, I don't know.
I should not make a soldering workshop. I'm a software engineer, but like, but yeah, of course, like people, if you're watching this, reach out in the Discord also if you have interest in building the controller, and we can figure a way. So this is like it's a hobby project for me. It can be a hobby project for you to build one. And and thanks a lot for joining in.
So Gero.
Basically, I'm saying the same things. Like I encourage everybody to build a MIDI controller, whatever they can envision. And of course, I'm always available for questions about the Autopot or similar topics. Hit me up. And it's a lot of fun, and it's a great feeling when you have something that works that you created yourself. And it's not that hard. Like MIDI controllers are a really great way to get started.
Thank you. Jürgen.
Yeah, maybe we can announce already the next show, so we are less confused than last time. So we already figured out the next 3 shows actually till the end of the year. We will have 3 more shows, and the next one will be at the 12th of July, and we will have the one and only Xavier's back. So this will be really cool.
Yeah.
So next time will be no Technic nerds. We will actually talk music, maybe Technic as well. And also, since he's a teacher, we will talk about learning things. And he's also a professor at Harvard. No, Harvard, right? Well, now I'm confused. At Berkeley, sorry.
Berkeley,
Berkeley, right. So he knows about these things and about teaching and about actual music and making music with Bitwig. And I saw his tutorials. He gave 2 tutorials at Superbooth, and I know he's a great teacher and you can learn lots of stuff from him. So we're really looking forward to that. So again, 12th of July, same time, 1930 Central European summertime.
And on your channel this time.
On my channel, yeah. So, but we will announce it everywhere, and this time with the correct time.
For sure. So,
yeah,
that's it.
That's it. Yeah.
So I want to thank you all for joining here and giving all this nice information and encouraging people doing something. If it's just music or building on MIDI controller or getting curious of building a MIDI controller or maybe just getting curious of this old microelectronic stuff to control something or whatever. I think even if it was a really nerdy and technic show, I think a lot of people could learn a lot and get a lot of ideas, and that it's not so hard to start out with something and not so costly and expensive to start out. And I think this is a good message for everybody out there. And so we would be pleased if you spread the word, and especially, if you, like Gero and Stefan said, if you're interested, reach out to them. If you want to help to improve it, or if you're starting out, reach out to them, talk to them, make the word big and the projects big, so everybody can contribute. And that's how I want to close the show. Thank you all very much. Thank you, chat. Thank you, everybody who's leaving a comment on our channels and everything, helping to make this show a little bit more prominent. And we'll see us the next time at the 12th of July. And you had to say that, Jürgen, make some, I can't say that it's your slogan. So,
until next time, make some funky music.
Thank you and goodbye. Bye-bye.
Bye.